much stuff, right? And I'm not willing to give that to you. So that would be an example of a bad exit page. Okay. So I'm going to take you through a little bit here. So we want to kind of guide through some key elements, things that you might be looking for in Google Analytics to kind of get certain tasks done. So you want to find out what kind of content your visitors are looking at, right? So that's kind of important to all of us. What do they need? And I've given you some paths in here, but we'll also look at it from the demo side in just a few minutes. So the way Google Analytics is set up, you have a left-hand bar or a left-hand nav menu, and you've got a lot of options there, which is why I wanted to give you these paths so you can see them. But it's going to list that if you go to behavior and then site content, your site content is going to be all of your, basically everything that's on your page, within your site. And then if you go to all pages, then it's basically going to give you every single page within your site. And if you have hundreds of pages, you're going to have to go through the numbers and just keep going page, next page, next page, next page. But you want to look at, the key metric here is to see what are your top 10 pages, really. Because if your donation page is high, or say you've got something that's drawing a lot of interest, it's probably going to be in your top 10. If you're doing special marketing around a particular campaign, you would expect those to be in your top 10, right? If they're not, and you're doing some extensive marketing around that page, and it's not showing up there, then you're not doing your marketing very well. And people are not clicking on what you expect them to click on, or they're having trouble getting to that particular link. So you want to make sure you're looking at that. So kind of part 2 of that is also looking at what's kind of your front door to your website. So what are the things that, what pages are they landing on? We talked a little bit about that. And it's going to be important because it's the first introduction, kind of like that first impression that you're going to make on that visitor. That landing page that they go to, that's going to be the thing that they see first. And it's almost like your doorstep, right? Coming up to your house, you talk about curb appeal. You don't want it to be that ugly page you meant to redesign 3 years ago, right? So if you're pushing that page out there, you want to make sure that it's got proper design and usability to be able to welcome that person into the site. So again, you go to behavior, site content, and then landing pages. So you also want to know what's keeping your visitors engaged, and you can do that as well. It's important that you know which content is popular, but also engaging them. So are they actually interacting with that page, or the pages that you have out there? You can look at the time on the page and also the bounce rate in those columns, and we'll look at that. And that's going to tell you whether or not they find it informative. Like we said, if you're a research group, you would expect the time on that page to be longer than you would if it were just an informational page where they're clicking through to get to the registration link or something like that. And then you would also kind of take into account the bounce rates there too. You might expect a bounce rate to be higher on a page where there's just information versus where you're trying to get them to read something or interact with it. So one of the things I like to do monthly, I get a report that Google sends to me with kind of all these key metrics in it in one shot. So it kind of helps me to kind of look at everything in one spot. And I'll show you how to do that for yourself as well. So the other thing that's important is to use the information to create and promote more content. So knowing what's popular and what's engaging is then going to help you decide, hey, they like that article we wrote on Google Analytics. Maybe I should do something else about metrics or data that might be able to help them. So you can take that information and basically help to decide your next steps for creating new content or for sharing more information. So you can do that by looking at acquisition and overview. And then you can look, the other top thing there is on the right-hand side, you can see the top channels. And what that shows you is kind of like where your searches are coming from. So when you type in NC nonprofits on Google, then you get a list of pages that are related to that, right? So you can tell that organic search is something like through a browser where they've searched for it. Direct means they typed in ncnonprofits.org. A referral could be that it was on another site and you had a referral link back to yours. Social, obviously, is your social media. Others, kind of a group of different things. And then email, obviously from email marketing. All right, so these are the stats that you know, just for comparison's sake. So top 10 things that you should look at. First, things to know, really. Fewer folks are returning to your website. Why might that be true?
They found it difficult to navigate.
Okay, they found it difficult to navigate. Why else?
Material.
Hmm?
You don't have updated material.
Okay, no updated material. Anything else?
They didn't like it.
Guess what? People are busy, right? Do you have time to go and look up, oh yeah, I was there last month. Let me go back and see if they've got something new. Right? When's the last time you did that? Nah, not so many hands are going up. And it's because you have a couple opportunities now. It used to be people were very loyal to a particular site, but now there's a lot of information overload, and so you have to think about that when you're designing your site and you're taking into account your content, because people are not just drifting back out to those same sites over and over again. You've got to keep getting it in front of them, and then you have to keep sharing it. And also, what's going to be the key thing to draw them back? If they're not coming back to you, what are you going to have to do? Reach out to them, and how do you do that?
Social media, email.
Okay, email. So you got to capture an email address, right? So you have to be able to get back in touch with them in some way. If they're not coming to you, you want to make sure that you've collected the information necessary to reach out to them. So that's the key thing. People are not very loyal anymore. So we want to make sure that we're capturing that data to move forward.
One thing I would like to make a comment here.
Yeah.
Most of the non-profit organizations, they are calling it a social on the Gmail. So it goes to the folder, and if people don't go to that folder, they never see what you are sending. So to prevent this, you need to kind of little bit contact, like once a month you will send something, you will ask them to reply. When they reply, this email goes to their inbox. So every time you will send email, now goes to the inbox. So you need to know this, because otherwise you will be losing the big percentage of the people from who use the Gmail.
Because the way Gmail set up their
Yeah.
inbox into the two separate,
So
the regular
either you
inbox
will
and
be,
promotions.
Get those people through the Twitter or Facebook. So you will be kind of giving what you are doing at that month or something, so you can go back to the what's going on. So I just want to make.
It's a very valid point. Mark?
When you get to it, I wonder if you have any suggestions on how to tell people who aren't using email that our follow-up to email is not happening. I mean, increasingly we're seeing in our church community younger folks using less and less email. So we see this real split between over 40 and under 30 and their use of email. Email is the primary communications over 40. It's not under 30. And I was wondering if there's something in your suite here that can
That's
help
why
us
the
with that.
Twitter, they are, you need to get
We get a lot more Twitter,
yeah,
or
they
they
for the
respond
young
more to
folks,
Instagram and stuff like
So
that.
you
That
need
our older
to-
guys are going, huh?
I did not particularly address that as like a communication preference, just because we're trying to really get into the nuts and bolts of measuring and looking at the data inside analytics. But I'm sure that there